I was at the grand final in Sydney.
Yeah.
It was the capping off, I think, the best NRL season I've ever seen. Not just because my side was in the final. And please keep on watching and listening, anyone who is not a Broncos fan. But take me through the grand final.
Yeah. Well, there probably wasn't many people that thought we could do it. I think that was probably put out there early. And to Melbourne's credit, they've obviously got the runs on the board. But again, we didn't have too much focus on who we were playing. It was about what we were doing. I think that was the strength of the group, that it didn't matter who was sort of landing in front of us. It was happened to be Melbourne Storm on that day. And that game itself sent us on a ride. I never forget, we lost both halves again. We lost Hunty and Renault, and I'm sitting in the box thinking, it can't be. But the work that people like Tyson Smoothie put in, he's a player that was very, very patient throughout the season. I started looking at Tyson and how we might be able to utilise him, and he ended up being a major part of the success at the back end of the season. Gaby Hetherington, so I guess, that game came down to just all the little challenges that we had throughout the year, and the group was able to go, well, we've been through plenty. This is just another one of those ones that's in the way of what we're trying to achieve.
But every single thing we've spoken about during the last bits of the conversation at the start of them has circled back into the weave of the season and the plan for the season, for any eventuality during the season that's inside your head. You don't know where and when, and then you're you're at the end of the grand final.
We had a moment there where we'd lost our right edge, and I sort of thought we'd had Katoni in it in the halves, but Jordan Ricky took ownership and said no, let's, because it's happening that quick. They shuffled Tyson Smoothie into the right half. Jordan Ricky said no, I'll stay as a back rower on Katoni. So they're working out their edge on the run, literally, because it doesn't happen very often. But the players enjoyed doing that at training. They were shuffling around all the time, and they'd muck around with it and have a bit of fun. But believe it or not, all of a sudden you look back and you go, well, the things they did at training played out and found their way to the win.
Inside the coach's box, are you watching? What are the things you're watching during a grand final? Because there's so much going on, as you say. You're losing players and you're filling gaps. What's your mind on?
I'm really watching our players, their movements, how they're feeling, or how I believe they're feeling. But then also too, I've got plenty of information coming in through my staff about what the opposition are going through as well. Everyone does it differently, but I guess over time, the more you watch, you're IDing things that you see are positives or negatives about what might happen. And then the grand final towards the back end, where we talked about things at training. Ben Teo down the sideline talking to players, and he's got a great connection with the playing group. And those messages are going across the line about the things that we'd practiced. So they're the things that are travelling very quickly as the game's being played out.
Reese?
Yep.
In that grand final?
Yeah, it was special.
Can you put it into words?
I just think special. It was a moment in time. But we'd sort of seen a fair few moments of that brilliance sprinkling at the back end of the season, and like you said, the belief of the playing group, and the playing group did their job, so it allowed Reese to be able to do the things he did. But he sees things like a lot of the greats in the game. They see things before it's happening. You just got to get everyone else on the same page. That's the art of being able to have players like that. And from talking about Greg Inglis as a fullback to Reese, and the fullbacks play an integral part. And I know Greg years ago came up with some special plays when I was coaching him, and then you sort of watch Reese do that. The special ones see things that most people don't. And you watch Reese roll around the ruck and then all of a sudden go up the back of the ruck. He was doing that at training. He was challenging that. I'm sure he would have seen that path probably before it even opened up.
So you have a creative environment in training. It's not all just nose to the grindstone.
Oh, not at all. Like, we explore things all the time.
Yeah.
That's the fun part. I mean, I've got a really smart group. I think they're the ones that are feeling and going through what it really feels like. As coaches, we have an opinion and an idea and a thought about what is going to help us succeed. But you've got to remember, I'm dealing with some of the best players in the world, and they've got a lot of good thoughts. So I actually really enjoy talking footy because they come up with a lot of things that we come up with.
You also had to deal with the Reese Walsh toilet thing. I mean, I sent you a text message on the morning of, and I said, what about Reese here? And you just like, Reese Walsh, bro. Yeah, but
we had a few of those moments. Like, just sort of go, well, that's a different one. But this world wants, characters. He definitely showed a bit of character there, didn't he? But then, as it was played out, everyone had a bit of fun with it. It was actually nice to see people making a joke of it. Like, we know that it was a brand new toilet. He was taking the mickey, and not something I'd probably do, but he, it ended up becoming a bit of a running joke. And, I had a moment after the game where he had his little trophy with the toilet, and I'm thinking, what on earth am I doing? But they're special things that you do with your players.
How do you manage that balance with a creative like that and a force like that, allowing the stuff that happens off the field to happen, but also reeling it in on the field?
My special players and my leaders, they're the ones that help assist the staff. We got expectations about, and Reese plays a big part in that, on how we want to be seen as a team. It doesn't mean you can't have a bit of fun. You can't have a bit of laughter. And in this world that we all move in now, it's it's got its own thoughts of where it wants to go. And Reese, he had his hair cut the other day. I've never seen the most talked about haircut in my life. So that's the life that we're living. But when you move that aside and you go, right, Reese, we're training, he locks on. So he understands that the footy is the major part of what gives him who he is, and then the other parts are just a bit of fun along the way.
Puts in the work.
Yeah. Oh, immense. I mean, he like a lot of our players, he'd be the last one that walks off the field most days.
What's the future for him, do you think?
Well, I think if you want to go down in history, like a lot of the greats of the game, they do it over long periods of time. And he's, like all our players, have got the opportunity to be able to keep at it and keep exploring how he can keep getting better. I think he's really changed his game. He looks at both sides, both attack and defence. His passion towards his defence has been excellent. And that's, when you talk to all the great fullbacks over time, that's a big part of what they have to control. They're dictating and talking to the players in front. They're shuffling players, and they're the safety of your playing group. So that builds a real good connection between he and the players in front of him.
Madge, close your eyes if you don't mind. I'm not going to kiss you.
Don't worry.
The siren goes, the Broncos have won. What goes straight into your mind?
Oh, gee. I was pretty fortunate, actually. I'll open my eyes here because I was pretty fortunate to work with Trent Barrett. And I've got great people in Troy Thompson who I've known for years and years. And I think the staff, and their families, and then to watch the players. Like, Trent had been chasing a grand final, just to be a part of a winning space. So that's just one of the, many of my staff that go through different emotions. And to see them go through that, it is really special. To see the playing group go through what I know they've been through, and you go back 6 years and you watch the club, and it was in a bit of a tough situation.
Terrible.
And then all of a sudden, to see everyone involved enjoy it. And look, I had a lot of the old boys, and they were, they were telling stories how they were in the stadium. They're near crying and going crazy. And, I remember we had a lot of the old boys sort of chat to me after the Penrith game, and they were just in awe, So all that sort of adds up to, when you look at it, it was just so many great feelings that many can go through. And it's very addictive.
And when you got home and put your head on that pillow at 7:45 a.m.,
we actually kept going. we went to the airport. We ended up jumping on a plane, and I think I spoke to you. And, I was next thing I got Dom, my manager, going, "Come on, we got to get on the bus." And we're all jumping on the bus, and we're on the plane, and the airport was going off. But one of the great moments was when we actually got off at the Brisbane airport. Like, you don't know there were people everywhere. It was amazing. Like the players were walking through and the crowd was going berserk. And then we jumped on a bus and then we drove to Suncorp, and I think we had 10,000 plus waiting there patiently, because it obviously took us a bit of time to get to them. And they were great moments to be a part of something that, is a real small moment in your life, but to see that was great.